Good afternoon, everyone. This is Queenie'Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews, and I am your literary ambassador. And today I have Dr. AudreyAnn Moses on my channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been a long time coming, so I'm
Yes.
happy to be here.
All right. Now tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I'm a Christian life coach. I studied as a psychologist and I did a little bit of therapy, but I decided I didn't like therapy. So I prefer coaching to therapy. I taught psychology before I retired from teaching. I was United States Navy counselor, and I retired. I did 22 and a half years and before I retired from the Navy. So now I'm an author. I still do workshops for anything dealing with emotional wellness, mental health. I still do workshops for those. I do them locally and I travel, and I can do them on Zoom. And my workshops normally deal with things, stress or mental health or transition, personal growth, anything in that world. I do workshops on.
Okay, okay.
My
Now what
books, I started writing. Oh, I'm
go
sorry.
ahead, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I started writing. Well, I've written forever, but I never published anything. I
Mhm.
published my first book in 2017, and I was 63, I think. And I've published since then. I've published 5 books, and I'm publishing my 6th and 7th book this year.
Wow. Now tell me, what is your genre and what attracted you to that genre?
My genre is Christian romance drama. And the reason I like that is because I never liked actual romance books
Mhm.
because I just never liked them. But I like the idea of romance books, but I always wanted something else to be going on other than the romance. So that's why I write Christian romance drama, because Christian people do enjoy romance and they do enjoy drama. So I decided that that would be a good combination to do. So all of my books do have romance in them. They do have something that's going on in the family.
Mhm.
My books are always about, um, dysfunction in the family, individual dysfunction, relationship issues, and all of it encompasses spiritual, because I feel like anything that's going wrong in your life, it has something to do with your spiritual life.
Right.
And so if we get our spiritual life on track, then it's easier to conquer all the other things that are going on wrong in our life. So every all of my books have in it how the people started out spiritually and how becoming more spiritual helped them to deal with whatever issues they had going on.
Okay. Okay. What is your writing process like?
Whew. I um I started out um I started writing when I was young. I had notes here and notes there, and my diaries and my little journals, and I kept most of them for a long time. And so my journals actually, I use those for, especially one of my series. I use a lot of my journal entries in, but I just had little pieces here and there and here and there, and it was really funny because I wrote 3 books when I was in college, and they were short stories for an assignment, and my professor told me to publish them then. She said, these are publishable right now the way they are. And I was like, no, they're not. And I put them in a box and they stayed there. And this was in the 90s, and I put them in a box and they stayed there until I decided to pull them out. And a friend of mine I told my friend, I said, nobody wants to read my words. Why? Why would anybody want to read my words? And she said, how do you know if you don't publish them? You don't
Mhm.
know who wants to read your words. And that has become true because, I have been blessed. I'm not a New York bestseller yet, but um, but a lot of people do read my books, and I'm really happy about it. And they are always waiting for the next book. So that lets me know that people do enjoy my writing.
Wow.
So I try to make myself stay on a schedule, but that doesn't always work.
Yeah.
But I try to get, I know that if I can get a couple chapters in, and then a couple more chapters in, eventually the book is done, you know. So I just force myself to stay on track, because I get distracted real quick, you know. So I try to force myself to stay on track with my books.
Okay. What inspired you to become a writer?
I tell people that I think I'm the only person in the world that is actually doing what they wanted to do on their third grade list of what do you want to do when you grow up, you know? So, because on my list was I wanted to join the Navy, I wanted to be a teacher, and I wanted to be an author. Those were on my list from the third grade. And I joined the Navy. Well, my intent was to join right out of high school, but I ended up going to technical college for 2 years before I actually joined, because then I was too young, and this was in the 70s, and girls had to be 21 in order to sign for themselves. Otherwise, their parents or their husband, and my mom wouldn't sign. So when I was 18, so I went on and went to college, and while I was in college, they changed the rules. So when I graduated from college at 19, I joined on my own. And like I said, I retired after 22 years. And then while I was in the Navy, I became an instructor. So I became a teacher. And then when I got out of the Navy, I continued to be an instructor. And then I started teaching at Hampton University. So I became a professor. And but I didn't publish. I had not published anything or even tried to publish anything. While I was in the Navy, I started getting interested in counseling. So I started publishing some articles in little magazines. So that counted as publishing, sort of. And but it just went on like that, like that. And then I had an opportunity. I was teaching, I was enjoying that. And when I retired, then I published. So I became actually one extra, because the counseling wasn't on my list at first. But so I became the things that I said I wanted to be in the third grade. So I'm happy about that. I accomplished my goals, you know.
Mm-hmm. Can you briefly tell us about A State of Affairs Deception?
A State of Affairs Deception is book 2 of my Earl Grey Chronicles series. And book 1 is actually this book, Uninvited Memories. And Uninvited Memories is the story of a young sailor girl in Washington, D.C. She joined the Navy straight from home, and her first duty station was Washington, D.C. And this book is really, it has romance in it, because it kind of talks about her becoming an adult and the things that involved. She no longer once you leave college and you're on your own, it's like, part of you is happy about that because you get to make your own decisions, but the other part is terrified,
Mm-hmm.
because you never had to do that before. The fact that she's in the Navy made it easier, because she still had that authority over her,
Mm-hmm.
that kept her from going completely wild crazy. But she did have a love interest, and after that love interest left, she had another one. And the trials and the happiness and everything that went on with those, um this book does use her diary entries, because the book also is about her after she retired. So it kind of goes back and forth in time,
Mm-hmm.
So she's retired writing the book, and she's writing about the things that happened when she, during those time. And the diary entries keep you understanding what time period she's talking about at the time. So, and she, as a retired person, she is a investigator for a congresswoman in Georgia, and they receive a letter from a mother of a sailor who the mother feels that the sailor is being harassed and discriminated against. So now she has to travel in order to investigate. And that's what brought back all the uninvited memories. After 20 years, you know, um, after, she had been retired for about 4 or 5 years. And then now she's remembering all of these things. And now she has to go back, into the Navy, not physically, but as far as her mind goes, she has to go back in. She has to be on a ship looking for these people and, all that sort of thing. So, and that's where this book comes in, A State of Affairs, because this book is about the actual investigation and the things that she had to do to keep herself in her place as a civilian investigator, because she is not an active duty military anymore. She's not active duty Navy anymore. But there are things that are going on that make her want to react as if she's active duty Navy. So it was a fun book to write. I was able to take by me being retired Navy, it was easy enough for me to take my experiences to write the book. And so I enjoyed writing it, and I think it's a really good read. And book 3 will be out in the fall, I hope. Miss Queenie, you know me. I have like 5 deadlines before the book actually comes out. But my plan is to have it out, in the fall. So it'll be available, for Christmas and all of that. And so it's a 3-book series so far. It's a 3-book series.
Okay. Who are the characters, Dr. Natalie Morgan and Congressman Abraham? Who are they?
Well, Congressman Abraham, she's a congresswoman, and really, I didn't really bring her out in either of the 2 books yet, but she hasn't come out yet on her own. But she is one of the first Black congresswomen in Georgia. I made her up. So, if you live in Atlanta or somewhere, don't go looking for her because she's not there. You know, I made her up. And it was during a time when there was all this stuff, governors and, people voting for governors, people voting for this. And I was watching all the different dynamics between, the women that were running and the men bashing them, the men trying everything they could do to keep them out, and so that's kind of where I got the idea to make the congressperson a woman. And but I haven't developed her all the way yet.
Okay.
And Dr. Morgan, of course, is Natalie. Her name is actually pronounced Natalie in English, but a friend of hers that's Italian pronounces it Natalie because his mother is named Natalie and they are from Italy. So it's depending on who says it, it's Natalie or Natalie. And she retired as a chief petty officer in the Navy and as a counselor, and she is now a psychologist, but she works as an investigator for Congresswoman Abraham.
Okay. Okay. What did you learn while writing this book?
Whew. I learned well with this book, like I said, you know, it, it brought back a lot of feelings for me personally because, like I said, I did use my diary entries
Mm-hmm.
to formulate the book. So the people are not real. The people are not real, but I did it brought a lot of memories of being in the Navy and all the different things and where I was stationed and all of that. But this book was a little bit harder because it is about discrimination and harassment. It is about that. And so I had to really pray while I wrote this book because I did not want to undermine the the subject matter, and I did not want to be hostile, you know. So I really had to work. And the next book is the same thing. You know, I'm really having to make sure that, you know, I don't, you know, sound like an angry person, because I personally never had issues while I was in the Navy. I never had, you know, on my first ship, we had issues because there were men that felt women didn't belong on ships. And even in the 80s, you know, there were men that felt women didn't belong on ships. But there were enough of the men that helped us to ignore them, you know. And so there were enough of the men that taught us what we were supposed to know while we were on the board the ship, taught us how to handle running the ship and all of those things. So I was really grateful for them. And the two or three that didn't want women on the ship became really insignificant, basically. But there is that issue in the military period that a lot of people think that, you know, oh, well, you know, it's 2023. So those things, you know, just like in regular life, there are people that think discrimination don't exist,
Right.
you know, and so, but I guess it doesn't exist to them because they have not experienced it. But even in the Navy, you still, in the military period, you do still see that because humans are humans. And the military is built up of humans with their own mindset about things. Fortunately, the military is built in such a way where even if a person is prejudiced, they really have to be careful how they come across, because they have to deal with the whole system. You know, it's not like here where I live, you know, you can go and talk to your buddy and your buddy say, yeah, yeah. And then a bunch of you get together and it's okay. It doesn't work like that for the most part in the military. Whether it's regardless of why the discrimination is occurring. But women are really being more and more accepted. So I'm happy about that. So when I was writing the book, I really did have to, like I said, I had to be mindful of my words because I did not want to portray false information.
What do you want readers to take away from your books?
Well, I want them to enjoy it, and I want them to, I guess what I want to say is I want them to be able to see themselves in the book.
Mhm.
If they don't see themselves, I want them to be able to have a better understanding of the different things, because I do talk about mental health issues. I do talk about in every one of my books, somebody has some sort of a mental health, emotional, or personality disorder or something. And in the first book, it was about dealing with becoming an adult, learning how to transition
Mhm.
from being, you know, being with your parents and now being on your own, and being able to learn how to keep yourself straight, safe, as well as learning how to be an adult, learning how to be an adult woman, you know, and how to just maneuver through that. The other this book that I just finished, State of Affairs, one person in it, there's a personality disorder called um narcissistic. I know a lot of people have heard of that, and they use it for a lot of different words for a lot of different reasons. But one of my characters is very self-centered, very all about him and what his needs are, regardless of who it hurts or who he has to step on to get to it, or who he has to con. And when I say con, I don't mean like steal their money.
Mhm.
I mean like convince them to do whatever it is he wants them to do. And whatever it is he wants them to do is eventually going to make him look better.
Mhm.
You know, it's not going to make them look better. It's going to make him look better. So one of the characters is like that. And another character is he's the type of person that has all his life has been downgraded. And as a child growing up, you know, um and his parents did the best they could for him. So it wasn't like he had horrible parents or anything like that. But he lived in the country. So his parents were poor. So, when you go to school and you don't have this, you don't have that, the kids tease you and everything. So he went through that. But as he grew, teenager and adult, his he began to see like some of the prejudices that his parents, especially his father, had. So he had to learn how to work either with that or without it. He chose to be with it, and as he chose to be with it, it caused him a lot of problems, in the Navy and throughout. So and and so a lot of times people think that mental health means you have to have something serious. Sometimes it could just be how you live your life every day. And why do you live your life like that every day? It could be that something that you have seen or learned or taken on is really not suitable for you. And so it causes you to go in a direction that God didn't intend for you to go in.
Mhm.
And because of that, it causes anxiety, it causes stress, it causes headaches, it causes all those things because you are going in this direction. God intended for you to go this way. But because you're going this way, you are following all of those bumps. In the Bible it says many people will go on the narrow road. Some people go on the wide road. Well, the wide road is not a good road. And so a lot of times we take the easy way out when the easy way doesn't get us where we're supposed to go. So that's kind of how this person is, and he has to learn as a middle age adult. He has to learn that all his life he's been doing it wrong, and so now he has to figure out how to fix it, and he hasn't figured it out yet. So I'm not going to tell you what happens. So,
Okay. Can you read an excerpt from the book?
yes, ma'am, I can. And this is chapter 6, and I'm not going to read it all because it's several pages. But it says Wednesday, September 15, 1999, the coffee shop interrogation. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Jesus. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Jesus. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Jesus. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I don't know why this song woke me up this morning. It had to be the angels singing to me because I had already hit the snooze on the radio. So it was not on the radio. Must have been the angels. I know that demon angel is trying to find earplugs, but they better be good because the angels are singing loud, and this song is in my heart and in my head to stay. Tracy and I had a wonderful evening. He was gone on assignment and returned yesterday. He told me what he could about his trip without of course having to kill me. Even though I still have a high level federal government security clearance, I am unfortunately a civilian and I am not privy to most Navy secrets. Sometimes I can read between the lines and sometimes I don't try. There are things about my job that even with his high powered clearance, he is not privy to. So I guess we are even in that respect. So he told me what he could, and I told him what I could, including the appearance of uninvited memories. Shortly after we met, I told him about Scotty while we were comparing love tragedy notes. He declared that my love tragedy topped all of his. Lieutenant Tracy and I met because of a case I had that brought me to the Navy base. He was new to his position as chief of security and new to Atlanta. The first thing that caught my eye was those beautiful white teeth that lit up the room when he smiled. He was seated when I walked into his office, and as he stood, I felt as if I was looking at a 15-story chocolate skyscraper. He became acquainted We became acquainted while working on a particular case involving a sexual harassment issue between a civilian woman, Alice, and a military man, Jones. Alice mailed a letter of complaint to Jones' command master chief. However, it mysteriously showed up in our office. At the conclusion of the investigation, it was discovered Alice had not been sexually harassed. She eventually admitted the encounters were consensual, and she was angry because Jones was also having consensual encounters with a military woman, Brenda, he worked with. It was further discovered the complaint reached our office because another military woman, Susan, was angry because he did not consent to having consensual encounters with her. To ensure an investigation would be open, Susan mailed a letter to our office. It was a total waste of Navy's time and resources, as well as my office time and resources. Needless to say, all parties, including Alice, found themselves in very hot water. The good thing for me was I offered my services as a tour guide for Lieutenant Tracy. That was 3 years ago. The sad part is he will be transferring soon to Italy for a new assignment. Everyone with firsthand experience in the Navy knows sailors come and sailors go. And if you fall in love with one, it's your responsibility to accept it because that's just how it is done. And I'm just going to move over a little bit to the end. As I boarded the train, I had an overwhelming desire to go back home, crawl back in my bed, and sleep until tomorrow. However, that would be a very bad idea since I need every moment I'm not in court today to investigate this case. I have to be prepared to meet with Commander Scott tomorrow morning. I think I will read a little and try to relax before this workday starts. I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on Jesus. I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on Jesus. I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on Jesus. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. And there's a whole lot that happens on those pages I skipped.
Mhm.
So,
All right. What key challenges did you face um, putting this series together, all together? So you still got, you say, two more books.
I'm on book 3 now.
Oh,
And
okay.
and book one was easy because at first my intent was it to only be one book. But one thing I learned when I started writing for real is that the books write themselves. The characters, if you allow it, the characters tell you who they are and what they want to be and what they want to do. You know, and so as I'm writing, and my brain is telling me what to put, I'm like, okay, okay, tell me, Natalie, what are we doing now? And it's almost as if she and I are having a conversation while I'm writing the book. And so, like I said earlier, I had a hard time making sure, especially in this book, that I didn't go off the deep end and be angry and, and let that show in the book, because it's not about being angry. It's about finding out what happened, how it happened, and how many different people were affected because of it. That's what the book is about. And so I think one of the biggest challenges I had was trying to make sure that they all connected. When I started writing this book, I said, okay, well, I guess I do need another book after I finish this one. So I said, okay, I'll do it, and it'll be book 2. Well, the more I wrote, the more I had to write, and the more I had to write, and it would have been like 2,000 pages, you know, and it was all over the place. It was making me crazy. I had to literally put it down and do something else, literally, because it was making me crazy, because it was all over the place and I couldn't put it together. And then that's when I kept praying about it. And I'm like, okay, Lord, I don't know what's going on with this book, but me and it is not getting along. And I put it aside. And that's when I realized, first of all, I was trying to write something that I shouldn't have been trying to write, first of all. because that's when my brain was wanting to be angry, and my brain was wanting, and it was like, okay, that's not what this book is all about. And then after I did that, the other thing, I was trying to put the love interest and the investigation and all of that in one book. And that was not what was supposed to happen either. So once I figured all of that out, once I allowed, people might think I'm talking crazy, but I literally pray over my books and what I'm going to write. And I literally let myself hear what I'm supposed to write. And so once I could hear it and I really understood that it is not one book, it is not two books, it is three, and it may not be three books, it may be four books, but you cannot put the case and the fun part all in the same book, because it just wasn't fitting in right. So now I have the case, and this third book is the end of the case with some love stuff in it and fun stuff in it. So it'll probably be a fourth book.
Okay.
It'll probably be a fourth book before the story is like really over.
Okay. What is the significance of the title?
Because normally when people see the word state of affairs, they automatically think military, they automatically think government, they automatically think, espionage or something like that, most of the time. And the reason I put deception is because um the story isn't what the story is. And so, and what I mean by that is, in this book, the story, the case of the story was one thing, but as it started to unfold, you realize it was something different, and it's still unfolding. Book 3 is State of Affairs Revelation. So State of Affairs Revelation is where it's going to continue to unfold, to where you can really see, man, they had it all wrong in book, and I want people to buy all the books. So I want you to not buy this one, because now you figure out that part of it, that something else is going to happen. But yeah, so that's why I named it State of Affairs, because a lot of times we look at things one way when really it's not that, it's something different.
Okay. How did you come up with the cover?
Oh, that was easy. That was easy. I have a young girl, um her name is Kendra Davis, and she illustrated this cover for me. And she is awesome. She is an awesome illustrator. And so I told her, I said, it's about the Navy, so I want it to look like it's about the Navy, and I said, and at first I wanted a ship that was like broken, like have the ship and then have like a gavel come down to break it in half. But then I said that would traumatize, 85% of the sailors, in the Navy. So I didn't do that, because when I actually saw it, I was like, oh, no, 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 we can't do that. We can't do that. So then I told her, this ship actually resembles one of the ships that I was stationed on. And so I told her, I told her to use the ship, but I wanted to look like there's deception, and I wanted it to look like that. So she actually came up with this cover with the different the shades and everything in it, and even the print and even the deception, because I had it written differently. And she said, no, 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 we need to have it so it looks like there's a mystery going on, which there is. And so I don't know what she's gonna. I did tell her what I wanted the cover of the next book to look like, but I don't know what she's I don't know what she's gonna come up with. So I'm kind of anxious to see what she's gonna come up with. And on the back, I don't know if you can see it, but on the back there's a gavel on the back, because it is a legal issue that's going on. So on the back there's a gavel on the back, so that it's the military and there's something legal going on, you
Mhm.
know.
Okay. Tell us about your publishing journey.
That wasn't hard. The publishing part wasn't hard because I'm a self-published author. I am, but I don't really deal with Amazon and Ingram Sparks or any of those. I have a person that's what they do. They only work with indie authors, independent authors, and so she does all the backdoor stuff for me. I just um, find out what she needs from me, and I make sure she gets what she needs from me, and she handles all of that. So I keep saying one of these days I'm going to try to put my book on Amazon by myself because everybody says, "Oh, it's so easy to do. It's not a problem." I'm like, "Okay, cool." You know, so I said maybe one of these days I might try to do that. But right now, I don't want to do that. I don't want to the reason I didn't publish in the 90s was because there was no such thing. When I really first started wanting to write, independent authors were very, 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 very new.
Mhm.
And most independent authors wasn't having a whole lot of success. And I did not want to go to a brick and mortar publisher because so many people that I knew personally were being rejected. Especially some of my military friends were being rejected, and I didn't want that. You know, I didn't want to send my hard work into an individual human, for that individual human to write me back and say, "Well, I don't like your book. We're not publishing it." You know,
Mhm.
and so I never went that way. And so I like being independent for a lot of reasons, but like I said, I my friend Kelly Cruz, she has her own publishing company, and she's the one that has published my books. And I have a book coming out that's not a part of this series, that a new publisher friend of mine's I met, Laquita Parks. I think you met Laquita.
Mhm.
Laquita Parks, she's going to publish that book for me. That's going to be out here in a couple months. And so, that's just how I do it.
Mhm. Now, what are you currently working on right now?
Well, I'm working on part 3 to this. And I'm also working on some workshops for my coaching business for the summer, some virtual workshops and things that I'm working on. And I'm working on the book that Laquita is going to be publishing for me.
Mhm.
And I'm working on a anthology called, let me get the name right, um, Saying Yes to Herself Unapologetically. So I'm working on a book, on my chapter of that anthology that's going to come out in September. And I'm going to be going in October to Charlotte, North Carolina for the yeah,
I
I'm
seen
excited
it.
about that. Yeah, I'm going to Charlotte, North Carolina for the Christian Book Lovers Retreat. And so I'm really looking forward to that.
Mhm.
In between, I don't know. My husband and I are going to Panama, so I'm happy
Wow. Okay.
Panama. His family is from Panama. So we're going there in July. So I'm just really excited about this summer. It's going to be a great summer.
Hmm.
I'm going to camp meeting. My church is having camp meeting for the first time since COVID. So it's a lot of exciting things going on this summer. So I'm just praising God because I'm like, COVID is over. COVID, the devil tried to depress us all,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know. And I'm just glad that, the sun has come out and all of these great things are happening.
Okay. How can readers find you and your books?
I am at transitionlifecoachforyou.com. And it's the number 4 letter U, transition life coach, number 4 letter U.com. And on there, you can find everything about my coaching and everything about my books, how to order my books, how to hire me to be a coach or to be a workshop presenter for you or anything like that. I'm on LinkedIn. You know, if you just go into LinkedIn, never say can't, CAINT. You can find me there, and there you can find all my books. Everything about me is on LinkedIn. And I did want to say a little thing. My coaching, my overall business is called Never Say Can't Life Coaching and Consultant. And the reason I have Never Say Can't, it's CAIN apostrophe T, not CAN apostrophe T. And the reason for that is because our brains may be thinking can't, but we always say can't. And can't means won't. And it just really used to irk my nerves while I was in the Navy. You know, my sailors, I would be giving them an assignment and say, I can't do it. Yes, you can. You know, my children, I can't do it. Yes, you can. You know, and my father was like that. If I said I can't do something, oh my goodness, you know, it was like, no, you can and you will, you know. So because Kate means you won't, Kate means you don't even want to try, you know. And so that's why I named my coaching Never Say Can't, Christian life coaching consulting, because I just want people to understand that they can do anything they want to do anytime they want to do it. You just have to put your heart into, you have to put that one step forward. You know, if you want to be an author, you have to write that one word. You know, write the word, write another word, write another word, write another word. Next thing you know, you have a book. You know, but you have to start somewhere. You can't just keep saying can't, you know. That's demons making you not do what God has intended for you to do. You know,
Man.
that's just how I feel about it. So,
Well, thank you for coming in today, and let's look at the books one more time. Book covers.
well, I only have 2 of my books here with me. You have a couple of them back there that I was happy to see. So this is book 1 of Earl Grey Chronicles, and Earl Grey is the tea because it's my favorite. So Earl Grey Chronicles and book 1, Uninvited Memories, and this is book 2, A State of Affairs, Deception. Book 3 will be out, you know, in the fall, A State of Affairs, Revelation.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me. And, you know, I know it's a long time coming. We've been trying to fit ourselves in to each other's
Yes.
schedule. And I'm just so happy that it worked out.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
And,
you so much.
okay, folks, I have to say this. Miss Queenie is the best person I have ever met.
Thank
So
you.
if you have an opportunity to work with Miss Queenie, do not hesitate one more second, because she is so kind and so generous, and she makes sure that you do what you have to do so that people can get to learn who you are and learn your books. I love her. She's
Thank you. Thank
gorgeous.
you. Thank
So,
you. Thank you so much. Well, this is
yes,
Queenie'Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. Happy reading. Bye, y'all.
yes. See you later.